What if I told you that there was an NBA player so good at dribbling, nobody thought he was human? From insane ankle-breaking crossovers to pulling off some of the most mind-blowing moves ever seen on a basketball court, Kyrie Irving is the greatest ball handler in the history of the NBA. You heard that right. This legend not only created some of the most watched basketball highlights on YouTube, but his unique dribbling also played a key role in one of the craziest comebacks in NBA history, leading his team to the 2016 championship. So, how did Kyrie develop his almost supernatural ability? And why does he refuse to dribble like everyone else? To understand, we have to go back to March 23rd, 1992. Drederick Irving and his wife, Elizabeth, who are currently living in Melbourne, Australia, have just welcomed their second child, Kyrie, into the world. Drederick, who after having his number 11 jersey retired after a dominant 4-year stint at Boston University, is playing professional basketball in Australia, a career which came to an end when his son Kyrie was 2. The Irving family would then return back home to New Jersey, where their son would continue to develop his love for basketball.
If you could just imagine an 18-month-old just dribbling around with right hand and left hand.
A passion which was only made deeper thanks to his godfather, Rod Strickland, who was playing in the NBA for the Portland Trail Blazers. However, in 1996, when Kyrie was just 4 years old, his father would return home from his Wall Street job with some tragic news. His wife, Elizabeth, had passed away, and just a year later, Drederick would also lose his mother. The young Irving was destroyed.
I was going through a lot when I was a kid too, just not having my mom and my grandmother, so basketball was like that outlet of my frustration and pain.
But his father would step up and begin molding his son through the game of basketball and turning him into the man that he envisioned him becoming.
I'm like, nah, when you gonna put up the hoop? It's like, no, when are we gonna put up the hoop? He's like, we're gonna put this up and we're gonna do this together, and I'm gonna show you how to put something together from the ground up, but this is gonna matter for you because details. I literally was handcrafting with him and put the net up, and then once the net went up, it was on.
As Irving grew into a 4th grader, he only became more obsessed with the game. Kyrie was either outside with his father hooping or inside studying basketball, trying to pick up secrets from the players he idolized.
I tie a plastic bag around a ball and dribble with the ball with a plastic bag.
A mindset combined with the fact that he was actually left-handed.
Catholic school didn't let me stay left-handed. Yeah, I was getting slapped on the hand for writing with my left hand.
But was forced to become right-handed, would turn the young hooper into one of the best young athletes in the nation. And Irving would make a huge promise to himself, writing on the wall of his wardrobe, "I will make it to the NBA." Drederick would continue to sacrifice for his children, dedicating his weekends to taking his son to New York so that Kyrie could play against some of the best competition in the United States. Yet, the Big Apple squads were relentless. Every single group would apply intense full court pressure, and Irving had 2 choices: either become an even greater ball handler or quit. While the young hooper would eventually adapt to the high level of defense he faced in elementary school, his basketball career actually came to an end after his freshman year in high school, all thanks to an intense argument with his father about moving schools.
You gotta make a decision, you have to make a decision. I'm like, Dad, I'm gonna make the decision when I'm ready. But you gotta make the decision. And the pressure from him, he was like, you're not taking this serious enough. And I'm like, Dad, it's just basketball. He's like, what are you talking about? You want this to be your life and you wanna do this? And I'm like, Dad, you don't really love it. And I was like, maybe I just don't. Maybe I just don't love it enough. Maybe I just don't love it enough as much as you, Dad. Yeah. And I was like, I quit.
However, Irving's love for the game would eventually return when he decided to transfer to St. Patrick's in his junior year. A huge sacrifice which required the rising point guard to take a 2.5-hour bus ride each way. So what made him want to make this sacrifice? Well, St. Patrick's, given that they were one of the top programs in America, would begin to gain their dominant point guard national recognition, and Irving began to receive the Division I scholarships he had always dreamed of. However, with this success came people who tried to stop him, because during his senior season, Kyrie's high school, after winning the state title in his junior year, would be banned from participating in the postseason tournament. But what did they do wrong? Well, before I tell you, I'm excited to go see Luka Doncic and his new Los Angeles Lakers try to compete for an NBA championship. And I'm gonna do it live, all thanks to this video sponsor, SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app, and with over 70,000 live events listed on their app, it's the best place to get tickets for everything. I personally love using SeatGeek because they rate each seat from 1 to 10. That way, you and I both know which seats are a great deal and which aren't. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And you know I came through for you guys. You can use code OUTOFBOUNDS10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code OUTOFBOUNDS10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. By using SeatGeek and my code, you not only get 10% off, but you directly support Out of Bounds. Thank you SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video.
They hired a private investigator to come in. He had the camera in his bag. This is what I went through in my life. And they videotaped us practicing with our head coach. Like, our head coach isn't allowed to be there at our practices, but every school does it. So we couldn't participate in the state tournament.
But after demolishing every defender who stood in his way, winning co-MVP alongside another high-level prospect, Harrison Barnes, at the Jordan Brand Classic, and collecting a gold medal with the under-18 USA team at the America's Cup, Kyrie was set to take the next step in his lifelong dream, playing Division I basketball at Duke University under legendary head coach Mike Krzyzewski. Yet, a few games into his freshman collegiate season, Kyrie was set to face the #1 ranked point guard in the nation, Michigan State's Kalen Lucas. While many assumed that Lucas would be the one winning this matchup, Irving had different plans.
Bro, I promise you, I am going to destroy this game. I am going to prove to this man on the other end, he's baby food. So then I went out and had 31. And then after that, I'm yelling at Josh. I'm like, I told you.
Yeah.
I told you I was going to destroy this game. I told you that.
However, a few games later, disaster would strike. The rising draft prospect, who many think will be a top pick in the 2011 draft, would suffer a toe injury, ruling Kyrie out for potentially the rest of their 2010-2011 season. While the future NBA player would eventually return as the national championship tournament known as March Madness began, Duke's lackluster run, being sent home after just 3 rounds, had many questioning if Irving was really an NBA level player. Critics would dub the draft prospect as overrated, pointing out that his 6'2" frame and limited athletic skills would mean that Irving would struggle to finish at the rim in the NBA, and that his insane ball handling skills would get Kyrie into trouble at the next level. But the now ex-Duke star would just remain focused on learning from his heroes.
I didn't have too many heroes growing up. I only had 2. I only had Kobe Bryant and my father.
And trying to use that hate as fuel to his fire.
I think the big question, that everybody wants to know is, can he play? I believe in myself, and even though I only played 11 games, I still believe in my ability. So, I'm just really excited to get on to the next level.
The first pick in the 2011 NBA draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Kyrie Irving from Duke University.
However, given that Cleveland's previous superstar, LeBron James, had just abandoned the franchise to pursue championships with the Miami Heat, lofty expectations were placed on Irving's shoulders. Big shoes, which, after slowly adjusting to the pace, physicality, and playing against grown men, Kyrie would begin to fill, as on the 27th of January, in a regular season matchup against his hometown team, the New Jersey Nets, Irving would begin to showcase what he was truly capable of. His incredible ball handling skills, which he developed in New York and New Jersey, were on full display. It didn't matter what the defense tried to do, because something was vastly different about the way the rookie point guard dribbled compared to normal NBA players, a variation that his godfather explains perfectly.
I think a lot of that is imagination, but he's playing with you in reality. You know what I mean? Like, that's different. So it's kind of street ball, but it's a method to the madness.
Irving would end this night having scored his first 30-plus point game at the highest level of basketball, and the Cavs' #1 selection would go on to achieve 3 more incredible feats in his rookie campaign. Firstly, in their next game against the Boston Celtics, it was Kyrie who would incredibly spin through 2 defenders to hit the insanely difficult game-winning left-handed layup. Secondly, against the Denver Nuggets, the New Jersey native would again impressively propel his Cavaliers Cavaliers into the win column.
Kyrie, defender on his hip, puts it up, and there he is, 4 seconds left.
And finally, thanks to his 18.5 point, 5.4 assists, and near 40% shooting from 3 averages, the number 1 pick was crowned the Rookie of the Year. An incredible first year in the league, which would have the rising talent chosen to be a part of the Team USA Select Team, a squad made up of rising talent whose main goal was to help the Olympic team prepare to win gold at the 2012 London Games. But while Kyrie was excited to showcase his on-court skills, there was something else which he was way more interested in.
I practiced the line in my head, like practicing the mirror before I got there. I would go straight up.
Yes, this is not a high school kid coming to you. Kobe, oh my God, no. This is me coming to talk to you one-on-one. You have the guard. No, you have the guard. You're not gonna lock me up. You're not gonna lock me up. You think you're talking to a high school kid?
You just came out of high school, kid.
You think y'all be playing little Bow Wow?
Y'all about the same size. Y'all about the same size. I mean,
Had that conversation with him, I found out that he went back and he went in the Chinese restaurant. So he was in there and he was talking to his team, his business team, and his team around him. He was like, man, this mother effer little kid, Kyrie, nerve to come up and talk to me.
While Kobe Bryant would get the best of Kyrie Irving in their following 2012-2013 matchup, Kyrie had begun to plant the seeds of what he hoped would become a lifelong friendship. However, whilst the Cavalier point guard had improved individually by increasing his scoring average to 22.5 points, being named as an All-Star, hitting another game winner versus Toronto,
now down to 5 seconds, he's got to go to work. Sizing up Anderson, long 3, the bottom, Kyrie Irving!
and taking poor Brandon Knight's soul in the rookie vs sophomore event, trouble was on the horizon, as the Cavaliers were still failing as a unit. Their horrendous 24-win and 58-loss record, combined with Irving's injury woes and alleged beef with their 2013 draft pick Dion Waiters, caused members of the media to turn against him. Kyrie would be labeled as a diva, as well as someone who wasn't capable of leading Ohio's NBA franchise to success. Comments which would greatly impact how Irving viewed himself. However, Cleveland's front office was about to make some changes. Firstly, Mike Brown, who had coached the team already between 2005 and 2010, was rehired, and alongside Brown came Phil Handy, a specialist skill development coach who had worked with Kobe Bryant and his Los Angeles Lakers over the past 2 seasons, a hiring which changed Irving's life forever, because Coach Handy noticed something was missing in his new point guard's game. Phil recognized that while Kyrie did work incredibly hard, he wasn't focused on mastering his skill, and instead was much more interested in just playing 1-on-1 or 5-on-5. But when Handy tried to bring this up to his young star, he was ignored. Therefore, Coach Handy would call someone he knew that could force a change in Irving.
I called Cove and said, hey, listen, man, I need your help with this young kid, man. He respects the out of you. He loves you. And Cole was like, man, shoot, I love that kid's game. I love his game. I was like, well, Cole, can I connect you guys? Can he call? He was like, man, give him my number. Tell him to call me anytime.
Kobe Bryant, a 5-time champion and one of the greatest players to ever grace a basketball court, had been through literally everything in his 17-year NBA career. From coming into the league as a high schooler, then being thrusted into a lead role on a 3-time championship-winning team, to then fighting with running mate Shaquille O'Neal for the alpha dog spot, whilst at the same time battling off-the-court issues. Bryant would then see O'Neal traded away, finally earning him the main job on his Los Angeles Lakers squad, but then ultimately failing for 3 straight years, before finally beginning to mature, learning from all his mistakes, and winning 2 more NBA titles.
You know, when the student is ready, you know, the teacher will appear.
Irving, under the guidance of his new mentor, would have his best season so far in his young career. Kyrie would win the All-Star Game MVP, have 3 40-plus point games, and begin to push his Cavaliers into more wins with his insane numbers. But it wasn't just the stats where the former number 1 pick showed growth.
I figured out that I'm more effective with both my hands working simultaneously and my feet working simultaneously than just being able to just move somebody with my shoulders, with my head, with my eyes. My footwork matches up with my ball handling, which is why I think the difference
between watching somebody that has a nice handle between somebody that has a great movement pattern. My movements match my handle.
However, doubt still remained because Cleveland had only won 33 games, leading many to question if Kyrie could actually lead a team. Journalists and critics would highlight that Irving's playstyle of using his dribble to break down defenses was not the right way to play, and his inability to stay healthy would fail their Cavaliers when it mattered most. Yet, Cleveland's front office didn't share these beliefs at all. In fact, they would sign their rising star to a 5-year contract extension, proving just how much they truly believed in Kyrie to lead them to their first ever championship.
LeBron James picks Cleveland. The decision made, the explanation simple enough. There it is.
Not only did LeBron return to the franchise who drafted him all the way back in 2003, but the Cavs would use their third #1 pick in 4 years? What? That's gotta be cheating. To trade for Timberwolves power forward Kevin Love. A brand new Big Three had been formed. However, as the season was rounding out in a game against the San Antonio Spurs, Irving would showcase that while LeBron was clearly the team's focal point, he was more than capable of taking over. Kyrie would spend the majority of the game dazzling the Spurs defense, attacking any opening he could find for beautiful pull-up jumpers or insane layups at the rim.
They better get it before Tony Parker come back in.
Oh, what a play by Irving!
But it's what the now 22-year-old did towards the end of the game which truly shocked everyone, as with the Cavs down by 6 points, their point guard would truly begin to take over.
Shots. He's got it again. Green defending. What a three! 3.1 to go. Ginobili on the ball and Leonard. Kyrie, a three. Good! He got it at the buzzer!
Wow.
Yet, it was during the game's extra period where Kyrie would do something even crazier.
And it's hard to make, not say make Bron look small, but like the things that he would do is like, you would think Bron was on the bench. The way he's scoring, the way he's just like going nuts. We played a San Antonio game. Yeah, I forgot Bron was on the court, literally.
The now 3-time All-Star had scored a brand new career high of 57 points and literally willed his team with his incredible ball handling skills to pull a victory out of thin air. Yet their success wasn't isolated to just this night, as despite being asked one of the weirdest questions in NBA history,
Tristan called LeBron a great father after the Chicago game. What? Yes, he did.
Great father. Oh, a great father. Oh, I thought you said, no, my bad. I interpreted that completely wrong. I thought you said he was a great father to him. I was like, what?
Called him a great father. So
Yeah.
what type of parental role has he played for you and your teammates, LeBron?
Oh, okay. So you, parental role. Honestly, I'm, he's. I don't know how to really answer that question.
the Cavs had ended their 2014-15 season with 53 wins and the #2 seed in the Eastern Conference. However, Cleveland's incredible year began to unravel after Game 3 versus the Chicago Bulls in the second round. Not only had Kyrie suffered a serious foot injury, but Ohio's NBA franchise was in a 2-1 hole. To make matters worse, despite LeBron saving the Cavs in Game 4 and tying the series, his point guard's injury was only getting worse. Therefore, before Game 5, Irving would seek guidance from Kobe.
Bro, my leg is f***ed up, man. And Kobe was like, all right, man, so what else can you do? And I was like, I mean, I'm trying to do my best to still play defense and still, make an impact out there while I'm playing. And Coach was like, all right, well, I need you to focus on the things that you can do. You know what I mean? Don't worry about the things you can't do. Just worry about the things you can do. Even if you're on one leg, don't think about the injury. Think about the end goal. Think about the mission.
In spite of playing with one foot writhing in pain, Irving had incredibly put in a much-needed 25 points versus the impressive Bulls defense. But things would continue to trend downward for Kyrie, because Irving, in spite of the Cavs moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals, was forced to sit out of Games 2 and 3 versus the Atlanta Hawks. A decision which allowed Cleveland's point guard to be healthy and ready for the moment he had been dreaming of ever since he wrote, "I am going to make it to the NBA" in his closet. The NBA finals. However, in yet another overtime battle, this time against the Western Conference #1 seed, the Golden State Warriors, Irving's knee would collide with Warriors guard Klay Thompson. Kyrie immediately collapsed and was promptly taken to the locker room.
When you say it's different, do you fear that it's worse?
Obviously you can see in the tone of my voice I'm a little worried. It's just a natural reaction. I just want to make sure everything's okay, so I'm going to take the necessary steps in order to see what's going on.
Not only had Cleveland lost their point guard, but their power forward, Kevin Love, had also been completely ruled out of the playoffs. Kyrie was forced to sit helpless as he watched the Warriors dismantle his Cavaliers and take the 2015 NBA championship on their home floor, a moment which destroyed him. Therefore, Irving would consult his hero for further guidance.
How do I attack this season? How do I really lock in and focus in on the mission, man? It's just winning the championship. He said straight up, you can't give about what people say. And if you are paying attention to what people say, stop paying attention to all that bull. People are gonna talk anyway. Just be you. Don't take a back seat to anybody. Just be you.
Yet, it was what Kobe told him after the pair faced off for the final time during the regular season, which would truly motivate Kyrie.
Like, man, I think Golden State's definitely going to win a championship this year. He said, nah, man, they got a really good team this year. I just feel like you guys match up well against them, but I just feel like they have a good chance. I said, they're not winning this year. We're going to win this year. What are you talking about? We definitely match up well. And he was like, man, I mean, Steph is killing it this year. And I'm like, man, I'm not trying to hear about Steph right now, bro. Like, I respect Steph, but I'm going to smack at him.
Kobe, having seen Golden State start their season with 24 straight wins, their point guard, Steph Curry, win the MVP award in a unanimous vote, and the Warriors rounding out their season, having broken the unbreakable Chicago Bulls 72-10 season by winning 73, knew that the mountain his prodigy was going to have to climb would almost be impossible. To make matters worse, when the Cavaliers found themselves back in the finals for a rematch against the Warriors, it would be Golden State who went out and grabbed a lead that nobody in the history of the league had ever come back from. Kobe was right. Or was he? June 13th, 2016, Game 5. Kyrie alongside his megastar teammate LeBron James. Seriously, what's above a superstar? Megastar? Supernova? Comment below. Was motivated to rewrite the NBA history books. Irving would masterfully utilize his insane ball handling skills to find himself in positions to score bucket after bucket. Yet, it was LeBron's leadership which ultimately allowed the pair to dominate.
He understood that I'm ready to be that guy with you. All I need is guidance when it's needed, and then also freedom when it's needed.
Not only did James score an insane 41 points, but so did Kyrie. The pairs combined 82 points, a performance that has never been seen on a stage that large before, would see the Cavaliers live another day. But this was just the start of one of the most epic stories in sporting history, as in Game 6, thanks to another 41-point night from James and 23 additional points from his running mate, the series would be coming to an end on June 19th, 2016. Kyrie knew that this was his moment. Irving would continue to relentlessly attack Curry.
Early in the fourth, he said he wanted the ball and we realized Steph wasn't trying to match up with Kai. I don't remember the foul situation or what it was, but all we took it as like, oh, you scared of dude? You scared of buddy? So we just fed him.
However, as Game 7 was coming to a close, neither team could get ahead. Whether it was just missed shots or LeBron James chasing the Warriors down, the score would not budge from its 89-all position. That was until, once again, Irving demanded the ball.
Each team has a foul to give as we come up on a minute remaining.
And they're putting Curry in the pick and roll, trying to get him on Irving.
I'm like, okay, this is it. This is it right here.
Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good! Kyrie Irving from downtown! Trying to stay with Curry. Catches one dribble, steps back, puts up a three. Won't go. Rebound tip taken by Spates. Final seconds. It's over! It's over! Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Dude,
it worked. Your advice worked. You know what I mean? Like, he's completely freaking out. He's like, hey, Gigi. And Gigi's like, hey, congratulations. He's like, oh my God. And like champagne spilling all over the place.
I'm surprised he even answered a FaceTime call because I know he hates FaceTime.
However, after continuing his insane season by being crowned as an Olympic gold medalist, Kyrie was starting to feel off.
And you realize that all the accolades and all the achievements, yeah, it feels good, it feels great to add that to the career, but it just, I felt empty after I done traveled, after I done partied, after I done spent a bunch of money, after I done asked for more deals. Feeling on the top of that mountain, man, after a while, I just felt like I didn't really know who I was. I didn't know what my future was gonna be.
Therefore, Irving would just continue to focus on the sport which had always been there for him, allowing the now NBA champion to have his greatest individual season to date. The now 5-time All-Star would average 25.2 points, 5.8 assists, and in similar fashion to his mentor, begin to show that he was actually capable of being a true #1 option on a title-winning team, a point that the Cavs guard showcased once again throughout their title defense. Irving and his Cleveland team would only lose a single playoff game on their journey back to the NBA Finals. Victories thanks to insane nights from their point guard, such as 37 points against the Indiana Pacers and 42 points versus the Boston Celtics. But before the 2016-17 season began, the 2014 NBA MVP Kevin Durant, after being on the receiving end of a 3-1 comeback by the Golden State Warriors in last year's playoffs, decided to join forces with the team who had just sent him packing. The Warriors, thanks to their 4 All-Star starting lineup, would decimate the Cavaliers. 38 and 40-point nights from Kyrie were absolutely meaningless, and it would be Golden State taking their revenge for their 2016 defeat.
Where is Kyrie coming from with this trade request, Woj?
Well, guys, listen, I think the trade request is related to LeBron James, but it's not because of LeBron. And let me explain it this way. Kyrie sees a situation here where LeBron is uncommitted past 2017. And I think what Kyrie is trying to do right now, and my sources tell me where his focus is with this trade request, is trying to be proactive with his own career.
Continuing our breaking news coverage of a potential trade between the Celtics and the Cavs that would basically swap the starting point guards for the two teams that faced off in last year's Eastern Conference Finals. Kyrie Irving going to Boston, Isaiah Thomas going to Cleveland, along with some other players and a draft pick.
Kyrie Irving's wish to be the #1 option and a leader on a team had been granted, but was he actually ready for the challenge? Because the now ex-Cavaliers' ability to lead was questioned almost immediately.
Can Kyrie lead? And can he lead men? No one questions his playing ability.
Therefore, understanding that he had a lot to learn, Irving would head to Kobe for advice.
You know, after we lost the Celtics, because Michael told me the same thing. He said, listen, you have all the individual tools. Now you got to figure out how to connect with each one of those guys and bring the best out of those guys. It's not about just passing them the ball and saying that's what makes guys better. That's not it. You have to figure out how to touch the right buttons to make them want to be the best version of themselves. How do you do that? And that was my challenge in 09 and 2010. I was able to figure it out, and that's what Kyrie has to figure out.
Guidance which helped Kyrie's Celtics to dominate the 2017-18 regular season, because Boston's roster had a seemingly perfect mix of young, rising talent and players in their prime. A squad which would allow the historic NBA franchise to go on a 16-game winning streak, mainly thanks to Irving's insane ball handling skills, which saw the now Boston point guard have 18 nights with at least 30 points. However, as the regular season was coming to a close, Kyrie was forced to have a second surgery on the same knee, which ruled him out of the 2015 finals. Yet, without Irving or their other All-Star signee, Gordon Hayward, who was also out due to injury, the young, scrappy Boston side would literally come just a single game away from making the NBA Finals. Not only were Celtic fans excited, but both internally and externally, everyone felt that the return of their superstar point guard and all-star forward would see Boston destroying the NBA in the 2018-19 season. During his recovery, Kyrie would also spend time trying to understand more about his mother's heritage.
My mom was adopted out of the tribe. This was during the 60s. There was a war against indigenous Americans, and they were placing them in different schools and different homes. So my mom was part of that that time. I just felt like I was lost in the world, you know, without my mom and my grandmother, so I needed some direction. So I went back to my tribe in South Dakota.
And the fact that I get to meet my family, finally meeting my mom's family, and now I'm with you guys forever, and I hope that you don't mind that, because I don't mind it either. So.
And I got my name, Ela, and it means little mountain. I'll say this, it shook my world up, because all the history was just being given to me, and then my ancestors were standing right next to me. So everywhere I go, I'm not walking alone.
On top of this, Irving felt so confident about his future in Massachusetts that he shared this right before the season began.
You guys will have me back. I plan on re-signing here next year.
However, 2 weeks after the statement, more devastating news would strike the now 26-year-old.
And he passed on October 23rd, and after he passed, basketball was the last thing on my mind. So a lot of basketball and the joy I had from it was sucked away from me. And
Boston would begin to struggle. The record, which many assumed that they were going to achieve, was seemingly out of reach, and internal issues began to spill out. So once again, Kyrie would reach out to those closest to him for advice.
I had to call Bron, you know, and tell him, like, you know, I apologize for being that young player that wanted to everything at his, you know, at his fingertips. You know, I feel like the best person to call was him, because, you know, he's been in the situation. You know, he's been there with me, where I've been the young guy, you know, being a 22-year-old kid, and, you know, wanting everything.
Yet Boston, after a dominant first-round series versus Indiana, would ultimately be gentlemen swept out of the playoffs in just the second round, and Kyrie would receive all the blame from the media.
The issue was not Gordon Hayward and Brad Stevens. That may be an issue. The issue is Kyrie Irving. He asked to get away from LeBron James. He wants to have his own team. Well, there you go, Kai. You have your own team now. Now you have a chance to lead men. And for them to get booed out of their own arena last night, I was appalled, and I was so frustrated, and I was sick in my stomach watching that game, S.A.
All right, Skip, how much blame does Kyrie deserve?
Kyrie Irving deserves 100, make it 1,000% of the blame.
To make matters even worse, during free agency, Irving made a decision which only further alienated him from those within the NBA.
And Wojnarowski of ESPN is reporting that Kyrie Irving will sign a 4-year deal with the Brooklyn Nets.
Yet, during his initial press conference with his hometown team, the now Brooklyn Nets, Kyrie would share his side of the situation in Boston.
A lot of the battles that I thought I could battle through in the team environment, I just wasn't ready for. And I failed those guys in a sense that I didn't give them everything that I could have during that season, especially with the amount of pieces that we had. So my relationships with them personally were great, but in terms of me being a leader in that environment and bringing everyone together, I failed.
As well as taking ownership for their failures.
And after he passed, basketball was the last thing on my mind. So a lot of basketball and the joy I had from it was sucked away from me, and there was a facial expression that I carried around with me throughout the year. Didn't allow anyone to get close to me in that instance, and it really bothered me. And I didn't take you know, the necessary steps to get counseling or get therapy or anything to deal with someone that close to me dying.
But Irving, now that he was back to where everything began, was ready to move forward. And boy, did he move forward. As in just his first game with his brand new club, Irving would score an insane 50 points against the Minnesota Timberwolves.
I made Josh Okogie guard him at the end. Shout out to J.O. Hey, this is how fraud I was. I subbed myself out. I said, we need defense. Put Josh in.
Seriously, why is it that Jeff Teague seems to be in every NBA moment? Also, to give you some random useless information, Kyrie's father actually played with Jeff Teague's father in college. Do what you want with that information. Just wanted to include it. And while Kyrie would miss the game-winning attempt, his incredible play combined with the fact that Brooklyn had also added Kevin Durant, who, despite suffering an Achilles tear in the 2019 finals and was set to miss this season, proved that the Nets would be contending for titles for years to come. However, on the 26th of January 2020, Kyrie's world would flip upside down.
Breaking news in this Sunday afternoon, 5-time NBA champion, former league MVP Kobe Bryant died earlier this afternoon in Los Angeles in a helicopter crash.
I'm not the only one that's hurting, you know, and I don't want to make this about me and just our relationship, because we all shared something really, really strong with him as a bond, you know, whether watching him or studying him or, you know, getting to ask him questions or seeing him out there work out or you know, we all share something, and that's a beautiful thing. We're all connected through one person, and he left a lot of teachings, a lot of breadcrumbs, I call them, and I just followed all of them. That probably pays a lot of focus into the person I am today. It's just really just listening, asking questions, seeing what he was doing to create. He had his own belief system, he had his own principles that he lived by. He didn't give, you know, excuse my language, he didn't give what anyone said. And I think that, you know, having that type of strength, it was what he helped you see inside of yourself, always. It wasn't something of the words that he said, it was something that was always there inside of you that you knew was there, but you just had to tap into it. And he tapped into it all the time when he was playing the game of basketball, when he was around his family. But he was just that type of teacher.
On NFL Live, reporting breaking news. This coming from Adrian Wojnarowski, reporting with Ramona Shelburne that the Brooklyn Nets have acquired Houston's James Harden in a blockbuster deal.
Your reaction to this deal, do you feel it's a good thing for the Brooklyn Nets?
Stephen A., surprisingly, I don't. And here's why. Yes, you have all the offensive power in the world, but guess what? Defense win championships.
Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant would come together to form one of the most explosive big threes in history. And as the 2020-2021 season went on, Kyrie was only continuing to find even stronger form on the court. Insane performances which would allow Brooklyn to end their year with the second seed in the Eastern Conference and a first-round matchup against Kyrie's former team. An initial battle which Irving dominated by scoring 39 points in Game 4 and averaging 24.8 points in their easy 4-1 victory. All those who believed that this big three would fail were seemingly being proved wrong. Or were they? As in Game 4 against the Milwaukee Bucks, Irving would attack the hoop and come down straight onto Bucks superstar Giannis Antetokounmpo's foot into one of the most violent-looking ankle sprains I've ever seen. Combine Kyrie's devastating injury with Harden's hamstring issues and Kevin Durant's big toe, the Nets would be bounced from the 2021 playoffs. But this was just the start of Irving's issues, as during the following season, Kyrie made his own choice to not receive a shot, which meant the Nets superstar was banned from playing home games due to New York State regulations, a decision which sparked outrage in the media.
Let me say this straight up and down. I think Kyrie Irving should retire. I think he should announce his retirement today. Clearly, you don't want to play basketball bad enough.
If you take Kyrie Irving's brain and put it in a bird right now, guess what that bird is going to do? It's going to fly backwards.
Sorry to interrupt you, Perk, but we have a trade coming in right now from our Adrian Wojnarowski. The Brooklyn Nets are trading James Harden to Philadelphia for the 76ers. Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round picks.
Brooklyn, without their superstar trio, would ultimately once again come far short of their championship hopes, with the Boston Celtics demolishing Kyrie and his Nets in just the first round of the 2022 playoffs. However, in the offseason, Irving's life would take yet another huge turn.
And my name translates in the Hebrew language as Yahweh. So I went on the Amazon Prime. I was like, you know what, let me see if there are any documentaries on Yahweh. So went in the search bar, typed in Yahweh, that came up. Went out and shared it on my platform. That was my night.
A post which would see the Brooklyn guard be suspended by the NBA for 5 games, and Nike, who Kyrie held a signature shoe line with, would sever ties completely.
I take my responsibility for posting that. Some things that were questionable in there, untrue. Like I said, and the first time you guys asked me when I was sitting on that stage, I don't believe everything that everybody posts. It's a documentary. So I take my responsibility.
Irving posted his apology on Instagram last night. Part of it reads, "To all Jewish families and communities that are hurt and affected from my post, I'm deeply sorry to have caused you pain, and I apologize."
Irving would then donate $500,000 to the Anti-Defamation League as a part of his apology. However, the ADL would refuse Kyrie's donation. In spite of all the off-court drama that surrounded Irving, his dominant play on the court only continued. The now 30-year-old would average 27.2 points, shoot 40% from 3, 50% from the field, and 87% from the line, with an additional 5.3 assists per game. But much like his teammate, Kyrie would also request a trade from the Brooklyn Nets.
What do you think of this trade request.
Idiotic. Let's get that out the way.
And I gotta look out for my family, and ultimately I want to be at peace every time I come into work, rather than things hanging over my head or wondering what people think about me in the building, or whether or not a report's gonna come out tomorrow that I don't talk to my teammates, which is untrue. And then, I just felt like being in New York City, in the media capital of the world, there was so many things that leaked out that I didn't even know where they came from. And I'm answering things that I don't deserve, and ultimately I don't pay attention to that much. So
Irving would eventually be shifted to the Dallas Mavericks, and upon arrival would sign a 3-year extension with the squad. However, once again, this move was met with extreme doubt.
I believe this is subtraction by addition for Dallas.
Wow.
I believe it's a terrible move.
But Kyrie would just meet these thoughts with his own.
it's just taking care of what I can control in here, and really embracing my teammates, and being one of the leaders on our team alongside the coaching staff in the front office of just exemplifying what greatness looks like. And that's just worrying about the work, chopping wood and carrying water. Like I tweeted the other day, it's just the same thing every day, and just growing as a human being. So
while Dallas would struggle as the 2022-2023 season came to a close, mainly due to injury woes, things were looking very bright in Texas. Irving's incredible on-court dominance, all thanks to his insane ball handling skills, combined with the rise of their other point guard, Luka Doncic, meant the Mavericks felt confident moving into the following season. However, it would be someone Irving met off the court that truly began to change everything for him.
And my lady told me this the other day. She was asking me about Kobe, and this is when I put it in perspective. And she was like, "What did Kobe mean to you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Kobe means this to me." And she was like, "Well, did you really look up to Kobe?" And I was like, "Yeah. What are you talking about? Like, well, what did he learn? What did you learn from him? What did he teach you? What do you remember most?" And she said, "I want you to remember that same thing, that same way you're smiling, that same way you're answering with a smile on your face, that you can feel the energy of a person teaching you. You need to remember that a lot of people look up to you that same way."
The 2023-2024 season would see the Mavs, who, despite receiving mixed predictions of their season, begin to convince those around the league that Dallas would be a championship frontrunner for years to come. The draft day trade for super athletic big man Dereck Lively II and trades for PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford had transformed their squad. Combine this with Irving's presence.
But it's just been amazing, he helps me, he helps everybody in the team. Everybody loves him on the team, so he's just a great guy.
And his insane ball handling.
Looking in for Irving. Irving for the win! Oh my! A southpaw finish from Kyrie Irving! Just
Those who once dragged his name in the media actually began to change their mind.
We need to start getting these apologies out there, okay? They need to be as loud as everybody were when they were criticizing Kyrie. And not one of them. Let me start off by apologizing, because I had a lot of disrespectful things to say about Kyrie.
While Dallas had ended the 2024 season with just the 5th seed, the Mavs were peaking at the right time. Kyrie's 30-point night to close out the Clippers in the first round, and his 36-point game to round out the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals would see Irving return to the stage he had spent 3 straight years on as a Cavalier, the NBA Finals. Before their championship series began against his former Celtics squad, Irving would reflect on his time in Boston.
Hindsight, looking back on it, I definitely would have taken the time to get to know people within the community, talk to some of the champions that have come before me, actually extend myself to them instead of the other way around, expecting them to be there for me and give me advice.
As well as highlighting the mistakes he made reacting to Boston's crowd.
The loud cheers or boos and stuff like that, that's part of the game. I've been able to reflect on how do I handle that, and when I'm playing my best game, it's because I'm at peace.
And while it was Dallas, in spite of a 35-point night in Game 3 from Irving, who would be defeated in the 2024 Finals, Kyrie had clearly found a home.
Because I know when I keep going and when I keep showing up for work every single day and I continue to be who I am, I know it's somebody following me, just like I was following Kobe or I was following my dad. And Confucius said, if you want to plan for a year, grow rice. If you want to plan for 10 years, plant a tree. And if you want to plan for a century, educate children. And my philosophy is continuing to be who I am continues to resonate this energy to the youth, bro. So
a mission which is present throughout everything Kyrie does. Whether it's his signature shoes with Anta, the messaging and breadcrumbs he leaves in incredible interviews like this one, or being a leader for those who look up to him.
You're so tough, you have so much handle, you have so much skill,
You have so much handle. You know, you're so efficient. I don't have a question. You're just so tough, bro.
Even in unbelievable situations such as the Luka Doncic trade, the former Rookie of the Year would remain focused on what truly matters to him.
You know, hopefully we can tailor back on some of the public criticism aspects of it and really just maintain, you know, the kindness and the compassion that we have for each other that's real every day, not just one moment or a soundbite.
While we don't know what's in store for the rest of Kyrie Irving's incredible NBA career, it's clear that off the court, the New Jersey native will forever be someone that everyone can look up to. Also, did you know that another player who wears number 11 was someone who dominated the NBA by simply refusing to dribble? If you're thinking, how can you even play in the league without dribbling? This documentary on Klay Thompson's NBA career is perfect for you. So, click the video on your screen right now.